Hello guys, my name is Emeko Kereke from Tech Talk at EO Multimedia and welcome to yet another episode from this channel. But before I go into it, I want to take some time out to say thank you very much for those who's been following us, supporting, subscribing, and engaging with the channel because as at last week, we crossed the 1,000 subscribers mark and that's all thanks to you. I just want to say that. And of course, going forward, we promise to bring you some engaging content. Now, if you're watching this channel for the first time, I'm a photographer, a writer, a filmmaker based out of Berlin in Germany. And this channel is for reviewing and discussing equipment, gadgets, and services that are crucial to my everyday/artistic workflow. So you are welcome and please think of subscribing and joining the community or rather the family. So for those of you who've been watching this channel, you may know that we have a session called Quick Reaction. So basically what I do is I hop onto the camera, hop onto the microphone, and I react to some event or something that happened recently. So today's reaction is centered around Apple's iPhone 13 event, which happened on the 14th of September. Yeah, we call it iPhone 13 event, but many other things were announced, even though at the end of the day, it was all just incremental changes, but we'll get to that later. So starting out, it was the iPad and then the iPad mini. I think that the iPad mini is interesting for the fact that Apple has tried to bring it closer to the iPad Pros. And so it is made for those who, even though the iPad Pro comes with an 11-inch, still thinks it is too bulky. So they wanted something that is small. And of course, it's been beefed up, really. I think the iPad mini got a revamping that is very, very interesting for those who will eventually think of, okay, I want a small little iPad, but really has this kind of all-purpose attitude to it. You know, you can take it everywhere. And this is also how Apple has been advertising it. You will see in the publicity and all that. It is meant to be this small little thing that's supposed to do everything. And true to that, let's run through some specs. There's now the center stage, which is when you are using FaceTime or any video call whatsoever, say in Zoom even, as you move around, the screen pans or the video camera or the camera pans and follows you as you move around, and it's really cool. I have been using that myself with iOS 15 or rather iPad OS 15 with my iPad Pro, and I tell you, it is really cool, especially because it doesn't only work with FaceTime, but also with Zoom and any other video call that you make, and that's really, really cool. It also comes with True Tone, which we know from the iPhones, and it has thinner bezels and that is, more narrow borders, new colors, purple, pink, starlight, and gray, and of course, liquid retina display. And then it has a USB-C right now, and then of course 5G, 12 megapixel sensor, enhanced photo with smart HDR, 4K video recording, new speaker with stereo in landscape, and also, and I think this one is really cool, it now supports the Apple Pencil. Now, I think that things got a little bit interesting with the Apple Watch Series 7. Now, don't get me wrong, I still think that it is not a substantial increment or improvement in relation to, say, Series 6 or even Series 5, which is what I'm using. But, I think there are some things one can sort of like, say, well, it might make me to want to upgrade. Or for those who are sort of like trying out the Apple Watch for the first time, this might be a good time to really pick up one. It has a larger real estate now, which is the screen. Apple claims that it is 20% larger than the Series 6 and even 50% more for the likes of Series 5, I think, and below. Also, it is now 70% brighter indoors when your wrist is down. And for me, this is important because I've always been having issues with the brightness of the Apple Watch, especially when your wrist is down. I always have to take up my wrist again to look at the time, and I feel like the whole aim of having the screen dim as you put down your wrist is defeated because you are supposed to be able to discreetly look at the time when you're out there with, say, in an appointment or hanging out with someone. You know the story about Apple Watch and sort of like looking at your watch when you are hanging out, say, with a friend or with someone, and you look at the watch when a notification comes in or when you want to look at the time and the person begin to think, okay, I think it's time for us to stop. Now, another thing that for me got me excited a bit is that it now comes with a full keyboard. So now you can tap or slide, and it comes with machine learning for predicting what you are typing. And this is really cool. For me, on the practical side of things, this is somewhat of a game changer with the Apple Watch. For those who have Apple Watch, you know this. Sometimes you just want to type a quick okay, or I'll be right there. For the Series 5 and 6 or anything below, it's always been that you scribble or use a microphone to say that. But I think that this is a welcome change, really. But now I'm wondering, isn't this possible with just the Watch OS 8, so that it can also be available with the Series 6 and 5 and all the other series below? So I don't understand if this is only limited to the Series 7, then I'm just thinking to myself, is this a hardware thing? And if it's not, is this one more other way of Apple sort of like wanting people to upgrade to Series 7 for no just reason? Because I think that this should also be available for the other iterations of, or the previous iterations of the watch. Now, of course, it comes with an IPX6 certification for dust proof and WR50 and for swimming and basically water resistance. But again, it stays 18 hours of battery life. And to me, seriously, that's a big disappointment, because I was really hoping that with the Series 7, the battery life will be improved drastically, because other watches out there go up to as much as 2 days, but Apple is still staying with that abysmal 18 hours. And really on paper, it's 18 hours, but in real life, personally for me, I do not feel like my watch would last up to 18 hours. Yeah, I own the Series 5, so maybe the Series 6 is better with battery. But even at that, I was hoping that Apple would have come up with a way of being more efficient with energy so that we can have more battery life. So for me, this is a pure downside. And if I'm thinking of not upgrading at all, this would be one of the reasons. Like, okay, what's the point? Because I'm still going to be dealing with the battery. Now, they talked about, fast charging and all of that, but I'm really not interested in that. I am more interested in the battery life, the duration of the battery life. But hey, they say it now charges 3% faster than the Series 6, but also with just 8 minutes of charging, you can have up to 8 hours for sleep tracking. Well, for me, again, that doesn't really make any difference. Now, let's talk about the iPhones, the iPhone 13. So we have, as usual, or should I say, like last year with the iPhone 12 lineup, we have exactly the same 4 phones for the iPhone 13. So we start with iPhone 13, iPhone 13 mini, iPhone 13 Pro, and iPhone 13 Pro Max. Well, with the mini and the iPhone 13, there's been some changes, but again, very incremental. It comes with new colors now. So you have pink, blue, midnight, starlight, and product red. And then it comes with a Super Retina XDR display, which gives you up to 800 nits of brightness and 1200 nits with HDR. And also for video, the screen supports Dolby Vision, HDR, and HLG. And also this time around, it comes with an A15 Bionic chip, and it's a 5 nanometer technology that gives you up to 50 million transistors. So basically, it is super boosted for high efficiency and multitasking. And of course, this will come in handy for all the machine learning. It looks like with the iPhone 13 now, Apple is really going deeply into machine learning, basically on-device processing of information. And I think this is where the A15, with the robustness of, its engines and cores come in really handy. Now, with the camera, there's been improvement. So the wide angle camera comes with a larger sensor. And of course, there is the sensor shift technology. Now for video, there is a mode called cinematic mode. So the way it works is that it anticipates when a subject enters the frame and immediately racks focus to them, and it will hold focus even when the subject is moving. So this is very interesting, but on paper again. But I am looking to see how this is going to work in real life. Now with battery, it comes with a bigger battery. Now Apple claims that with the iPhone 13 mini, you get 1.5 hours more than the iPhone 12 mini, and for the iPhone 13 you get 2 hours more than the iPhone 12. So well, let's see when it comes out if it leads up to it. So that's it with the iPhone 13. Now with the iPhone 13 Pro, which is the one that I am very much interested in. Again, same thing. Design wise, nothing really changed in relation to the iPhone 12 Pro or the iPhone 12 Pro Max. They basically stayed the same. But again, it comes in 4 colors. This time around we have graphite, silver, gold, and a new kind of blue. But for me, it doesn't make much difference really. And another thing I have to point out again now is that I think there is now a thinner notch, and as with the iPhone 13, a bigger battery. So with the bigger battery, just like with the iPhone 13, Apple claims that for the iPhone 13 Pro, you get 1.5 hours more than the iPhone 12 Pro, and with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, you get 2 hours more than the iPhone 12 Pro. So now it comes with a Super Retina XDR display, which supports up to 1000 nits of peak outdoor brightness, and that is amazing. But the real big feature is the Pro Motion display, and that is to say the screen refreshes from as low as 10 Hz all the way to as high as 120 Hz. What this means is that the scrolling, when you are scrolling back and forth or up and down, it's more natural. So according to Apple, it really follows your fingers as you scroll up and down. And I think that's really cool. Will people tell the difference between the iPhone 13 that does not have it and the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max that has it? Well, that's something we have to see when we have the phones in our hands. Now, when it comes to camera, there's been a lot of improvement. There's now a new 77 millimeters telephoto lens. So, which means the zoom has been bumped up from 2.5x that it used to be to 3x. And then there's the ultra wide angle, which is where much of the improvement actually happened, because the ultra wide angle of the iPhone 12 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max is crap, utter crap. As a matter of fact, because I own an iPhone 12 Pro Max, I hardly use the ultra wide angle because immediately you photograph with it, you see all the pixels and everything. The lighting, in low light is crap. But now Apple claims that this has been improved now. It has a larger sensor with an f1.8 aperture, but most importantly, the low light has been improved up to 92%. Did you hear that? 92%. That's a big improvement. The ultra wide angle is a very, very powerful lens. So I like the fact that Apple has done something to the ultra wide angle. But the same thing goes with the wide angle. It's been improved, larger sensor as well, and larger aperture. And in the case of the wide angle, the low light improvement is only 2.2 times. But it's okay. It's okay because the wide angle is really good. Apple nailed it with the iPhone 12 and the 12 Pro Max. They nailed it. So I don't think there's really much one can do there. But I'm happy that, the improvement came, the low light improvement came to the ultra wide angle. And what's also interesting now is that all the 3 lenses now has night mode. And that is really cool. Including, well, I've said all the 3 lenses, right? So I don't need to say including anymore. But to emphasize, including telephoto, because this was a big deal. It's also one of the reasons why the telephoto lens for me, I didn't use it so much. I was basically using the wide angle more than any other lens. And it's a pity. So I'm hoping that with the iPhone 13, that we can use the 3 lenses properly. And I think the one place we'll use those 3 lenses properly, we'll put them through its paces, is with the video. Not necessarily with photos, but really with video. And then speaking of video, these cameras have been improved in relation to video, starting with, again, the ultra wide angle, which now supports what Apple calls macro photography. Now you can even magnify an object up to a minimum distance of 2 centimeters. That's impressive. you can now film in ProRes up to 4K with the iPhone 13 Pro. But then there's a caveat to that. This is only possible with those phones that has 256 gigabyte of storage and above. For the 120 gigabyte of storage with the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max, you only get 1080 with ProRes. I don't know why Apple did that. I guess it has to do with storage, obviously. And then finally, for storage options, it comes with 128 gig, 256, 512 gigabyte, and a new 1 terabyte of storage. That is heavy. Now, that's it basically for the iPhone 13 event. So what's my conclusion really? What I think is that this is only incremental changes, you know? There is nothing, practically nothing announced during this event that makes me feel like I need to go and upgrade, especially if you have devices from last year. That is to say, iPhone 12 lineup or the Apple Watch Series 6. There's really nothing that makes it urgent for you or a necessity for you to go and upgrade. However, if you are upgrading from older versions of, say, the Apple Watch or the iPad mini or the iPhones, then, well, this should be exciting for you because you are getting the best in relation to iPhone 12, because the release of the iPhone 12 last year, we saw that there wasn't much really in relation to the iPhone 11. Yeah. The biggest thing was the design change, but internally there wasn't really much. However, for those who waited out the iPhone 12, this is really a good time for you to upgrade, especially if you are interested in the camera, because there's a lot about the cameras from the iPhone 12 that's been corrected. And again, for me, it is that ultra wide angle and so many other things as well. So for that only, I think it is worth the upgrade. Will I upgrade from my 12 Pro Max to 13 Pro? I think I will do so. I am not super eager. I'm not super excited, but I think I will do it because it is easy for me to give up my 12 Pro Max. I have used it meticulously in nice way, so I can easily sell it and upgrade. But this time around, I am going to the 12 Pro. That way also, I will save some money and I will step up to the 256 gig. So that's it from me for today's reaction. So what do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section. Join the conversation. Is there something that I missed out? Do you think you'll be upgrading? Won't you be upgrading? And why not? Let me know all of that in the comment section and let's make it a conversation as usual. And finally, don't forget to like the video if you find it informative or by some stroke of luck, entertaining. And if you want to keep up with what we are doing here, because it's not just about iPhone and Apple stuff that we talk about here, we also talk about headphones, we talk about other things. So if you want to keep up with what we're doing here, consider subscribing. Now, on that note, I would like to say have a beautiful day or night, depending on your time zone, and see you in the next video, which will be pretty soon. Bye-bye.